Good afternoon and Happy New Year. The Board of Zoning and Adjustments of the City of Decatur is now in session. Here before the Board of Zoning and Adjustments today seeking special consideration to an ordinance based on special conditions, where the literal enforcement of an ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship for you, or there's been an error in the enforcement of the ordinance. It will require 4 favorable votes from the board to approve any request presented today. Please come forward when your name is called and state your name, address, and what you would like this board to do for you. All cases will be called in the docketed order. Once your case has been heard, you are free to leave. Please call the roll.
Delane Dean.
Here.
Mark McCurry.
Here.
Chester Ayers.
Here.
Tom Pope.
Here.
Mark Moody.
Here.
Are there any corrections to the minutes of the last held meeting?
No corrections.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Please call the first case.
Case number 1, application appeal of Audie Newsom for a 20 feet front yard setback variance from section 25-10-2C and a 6 feet side yard setback variance from 25-10-2E1 to construct a Sunday school addition located at 1205 Mill Road Southeast. Property is located in R3 residential single family district.
Before this one gets called, I think Mark will need to recuse on
We were talking about that. Does he need to
Decided not to.
His,
if he's potentially has a business dealing with the.
but right now he's just a property owner that adjacent, I mean, he just has property next door to this property.
I think in the interest of appearance.
I'm good either way.
Okay.
Just need to come off the dais.
All right, that's fine. Then, for this case, Mr. Moody is going to recuse himself as he owns property next door to this property. So he will step down for this case. That will mean you only have 4. And then, you know,
Got to get you all, huh?
you got to get us all, or come back next month.
Okay, all right. Blake McAnally with Pewright McAnally, 310 8th Avenue Northeast. On behalf of the applicant, Mr. Audie Newsom, who is here. So the church has the original building, an addition to that building, and then a more recent, larger addition to the building. And what you see in this exhibit that we provided you in the gray area is the addition they are proposing, a classroom addition. And this would attach to the second, the oldest building, which had an addition, and this would attach to that addition. It's basically would fall inside their property in their existing parking lot. It is a classroom space. It doesn't bring any additional people, same people, different use at different times, classroom versus being in the worship area. To be able to get the addition in that they need, and I think you were provided an exhibit of the architect's plan and also the floor plan. 4,500 square foot addition immediately connected to that building. So there are their entire property where their facilities are bounded by roads on all 4 sides. So they technically have a 4-sided front yard type situation, which is rather unusual for a property that is this rural. So it does create a challenge, and then necessitates the request for a 20-foot along Chun, and then along Mulberry, a 6-foot variance to the setback, which is 35 for commercial. If it's residential, it's 30, but because it is a public or semi-public building, it's a 35. So we're asking for 6 off the 35 on Mulberry. We're asking for 20 off the 35 along Chun. Hardship basically exists because there's nowhere else to go here, because they are bounded by 4 rights of way. They do own the property to the south, which is a pretty large parking lot that the church uses. They own a property to the east, which is another parking lot that the church uses. They've got ample parking space, more than is required for the facility. So the ones that are being taken up by this addition would not need to be reconstructed to get back to the minimums required. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
questions from the board?
I have no question, but a comment. I see in the typed agenda, really no tying street names to the different measurement requests, 1 and 6. I don't know if we should make that a comment.
Well, if you like it in there, we can put it in there, but it's front yard, side yard.
Well, it's
No.
addressed, it's neither addressed off of, I don't know which one, is it front or rear. But yeah, 20 foot would apply to the chun, and 6 foot for the mulberry.
And the address is a mill address, the property.
It's really a backyard.
It is,
With a
it
front
is,
yard setback.
it is a backyard and a side yard technically. If you want to look at the structure, the mulberry is a side yard.
Okay, you kind of
And if
saw
you want to look at Chun, technically it is the back of the building.
chun is,
Chun is the back, but that's where the entry and the drop off is, because the front of the building faces Mill, which is the primary roadway in the neighborhood. So all of these are off the primary roadway. And these streets are substandard streets. They're not anywhere close in width or curb and gutter. They frankly look like an aisleway in a parking lot. That's what they look like. And they've been that way for many decades. So that limited, really the church is the traffic there. When they're coming on Wednesday and Sunday and Wednesday, they're the traffic. There's really not any other traffic there on these two streets.
So is that an entrance? The little cutout?
That's an existing parking lot right now, yeah. Now, understand that if this goes forward, they would have to come back to the Planning Commission for a site plan approval, and whatever adjustments had to be made in here would have to be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. Today, we just need these variances to be able to proceed with that design work and come back before the Planning Commission. So it's a significant amount of review yet to happen should the project move forward.
Any other questions from the board? Comments from the public? Comments from the building department?
No comment.
Comments from the planning department?
Yeah, it should be noted that they did obtain a vacation from the planning commission, and then it was approved by the city council to go along with this project, so they did already have that done.
Public testimony is now closed. There being no further comments, this appeal is presented to the board for its ruling. Is there a motion?
motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Tom Pope,
Yes.
Delane Dean,
Yes.
Bart McCurry,
Yes.
Chester Ayers.
Yes.
You have been approved.
Thank you very much.
Ready for them too?
Yes.
Case number 2, application and appeal of Ali Aswali for 3 parking space variance from section 25-162Q for new retail spaces located at 2612 Old Moulton Road Southwest. Property is located in a B1 local shopping district.
Question for you. Sorry for being a little unprepared, but does this applicant afford his engineer to speak in his application?
You're authorized representative.
Okay, and so we had an engineer who recently left our firm, and he was actually working this project, and so he left last Friday. So I'll be honest with you, I do not know a lot about it, but I'll be happy to answer any questions I can. I know it is a parking count variance that they're asking for
We need,
a renovation.
since the representative of Pew Wright is technically
It just
the,
says that the representative is the entity of Hubert McAnally. It doesn't have a specific, I mean, it does state a specific name, but since it's the entity, I think it's a kind of
Okay.
a representative of Hubert.
if it will just state,
Especially since
need your name, the name and address for the record.
Blake McAnally, 310 8th Avenue Northeast, with Pure Right McAnally, engineer for the applicant.
Richard Humphrey with Purette McAnally. I worked with Philip a little bit on this project. Essentially what's going on, this is a former car wash, U-Wash car wash that they are removing and putting up a retail space in that location. There are existing self-storage warehouses behind that former car wash. And basically with the footprint that's allotted in this area, they've already reduced the square footage, proposed square footage of the building to try and get down to the required parking count and be able to do the parking and whatever landscaping they're going to have to do around this building. But essentially, this is going in that same footprint where that car wash was located.
Without sharing the secret of whatever is coming in here, what type of businesses are coming in here?
Honestly, do not know. This was, when I started working on it, it was presented as basically spec retail space. Unless things have changed, it was going to be 3 units within this building, but I don't know what type retail.
Questions from the board?
Does the property go on further back behind the proposed?
It does, yes. This is the outline, what you see on there is the outline of the mini storage buildings that are existing. They go back on that side of the property.
What is the separation between those? I cannot see that.
I think it has actually been reduced since that drawing. That was part of the reason to reduce the footprint of the building, was to allow access and separation between those to have a drive aisle. I think when that drawing was produced, it was about 11 feet, and we're at, I want to say it's 18 to 20 now.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You did say if it was a restaurant, it would actually require more parking.
I'm not sure on that. I have to check.
I think we said it was like 1 parking space per.
It may be a little more restricted.
I know you remember this.
I can look it up.
It's like, I think it's 15 or something.
So that tells me this is not being planned to be a restaurant, or they would be, and they'd be asking for more.
Yeah, I don't believe it's restaurant.
Our concern was just whether it's parking, somebody come in and out quickly, or somebody's there for a couple hours, kind of thing. But I think if it was a restaurant, it would be.
They'll probably have to get, well, I don't know, what's on
I think this was 1 per 250 square feet.
B1.
I think a restaurant.
B1?
Yeah.
This is use permit on the bill, isn't it?
I had to check on that.
It's probably use permit on the bill, which means that if they did open a restaurant, they'd have to come back to the board anyway, and that would be one of the questions you have to do.
And that would change the parking more, so I think that answers my question about the. That was my biggest concern, because that is 15 spots fill it quick for a restaurant. Any other questions from the board? Comments from the public? Comments from the building department?
No comment.
Comments from the planning
What was
department?
your comment, what was your question about the restaurant?
Is, how many parking spots would that require? It's a different square footage
Correct.
parking. So it would require even more than this, so that tells me they're not looking to put a restaurant in here, based on what they asked, because they stated it was 1 for every 250 feet.
Okay. It should be noted that this parcel was recently annexed into the city and zoned B1. This is the car wash that's over there, right beside the Cowboys, in front of Brook. The storage shed will be non-conforming, and it will be grandfathered in, but they cannot expand the storage. So it should be on the record.
Okay. Public testimony is now closed. There being no further comments, this appeal is presented to the board for its ruling. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Chester Irish.
Yes.
Mark McCurry.
Yes.
Delane Dean.
Yes.
Tom Pope.
Yes.
Mark Moody.
Yes.
You have been heard. Case number 3.
Case number 3, application and appeal of Dylan Pate for a use permitted on appeal from section 25-11 to construct a new residence located at Pisgah Road, parcel ID 27375. Property is located in the B2 General Business District.
Richard Humphrey, Purette McAnally. Mr. Pate's also here today. This is just a request. He is looking to build his personal residence, 310 8th Avenue Northeast. He is requesting to build his personal residence on this property. It is currently vacant, but it is zoned B2. Just asking for permission for the residence.
Is the house completely on the part that's zone B2, or is the proposed house on the B2 and the currently unzoned?
It splits the zoning line. It's currently, it's going to sit partially on the B2 and partially on the unzoned.
Questions from the board? Right. We can vote on the house being in a B2. The exception would be, or I guess the, what's the word? It left me. What's the word? No, the other one.
Consolidation.
No.
What did you say? I didn't catch what you said.
The,
Conditions?
yes, that's the word, sorry.
Yes, the conditions, I think that would be required.
That would have to be tagged to it is that the property would have to be combined, the two, which obviously the one would have to be zoned
Right.
into B2 as well. And then they would have to be combined into one property.
Let me ask one thing about that. We have submitted the certificate to consolidate that was turned in today for this month's Planning Commission
Okay.
agenda. Is there a requirement to annex the portion that's unannexed?
If it gets consolidated, it would be annexed, wouldn't it? By default?
Not necessarily.
No, we would want to annex, which we would prefer, so we can get the annexation, because it's already touching the piece that's annexed, correct?
It is. Part is annexed and part is not. Now, I'll have to talk to Mr. Pate, see if he is okay with annex.
Yeah, I'm okay with that actually because I do plan on tying into the sewer that runs on 31. That's why we put that easement in there for the consolidation. So that was kind of the plan anyway. I'm going to have to annex and tap into the sewer.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Comments from the public? Comments from the building department?
No comment.
Comments from the planning department?
Yeah, y'all need to have that as conditions as well, correct? Annexation, rezoning, consolidation.
Just make sure the motion includes.
Well, I've got a question though on that. I mean, they could decide to move the house further back all entirely into the B2, not have the lot consolidated, and we could still make, they wouldn't be approved even if we approved this as submitted. That would not hinder those reviews by the planning commission. But it would open up the possibility for Mr. Pate, if we approved it as submitted, he can make adjustments to that layout and position of the house.
So would they have it all, if you put it all on one lot that's annexed to the city, do they have all the room they need to do that?
What's that?
Do you have all the room that you need to, if you put it all in as part that's annexed to the city, do you have enough room to, enough lot space, enough setback space to have it?
There would be enough room. Now, whether it fits kind of the general layout of where he wants to locate the house, we would have to look at that. Because essentially there's an open area that he's working to put the house in, and then there's a wooded area around that. So it just depends on how that would fit within that open area.
I could probably, I could probably move it over to out of what is right now the police jurisdiction and still make it work. So you don't have to worry about annexing that portion into the city. I can just build in the city, but it still splits a lot line a little bit. So we would have to consolidate.
And then, and when you consolidate, it would be a parcel
That's correct. It would end up being 12.5 acre parcel.
with half in and half out.
Sorry?
With half in and half out.
No, right now, yes, but if we move the house over, it could all be out. It could all be in the city. We wouldn't have to do the annex portion of that. I would already be in the city.
asking is if you consolidate both parcels and one is PJ and one is zone,
Correct.
when you consolidate, then you have to
Correct. That's
rezone
what-
the entire
correct.
portion.
That's what I'm
Then you
saying.
have to still annex. It's gonna create a problem when you consolidate.
It's just better to do it that way. I mean, but if you think not, but I think it's better just to cut my steps and just have those three conditions.
I was just throwing out that.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to take that option from him, you know, if he decides to do that.
100%.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Alright. Any other comments from the planning department or from the board? Public testimony is now closed. There being no further comments, this appeal is presented to the board for its ruling. Is there a motion? Yes.
I make a motion to approve, as submitted with the condition that it meets all the subdivision regulations and is approved by the planning commission.
Would that address the three things you want, or we need to?
I think if we spelled it out, conditions with the rezoning, the annexation, the zoning, and what else?
To include, I would say that the subdivision regulations to include, because annexation, I don't think
It's
that's
not.
in there. That's a statutory. So I think as long as it's to,
I make a motion to approve as submitted with the condition that the proposed building meet all the subdivision regulations and is annexed.
Yeah, the two properties.
Annexed.
The two properties are
annex,
Annex,
rezone.
rezoned, and consolidated.
rezoned and consolidated.
With that, can I ask for, I guess, a little bit of leeway on the annexation submittal as far as timeline? Because,
I don't know that we have that.
okay.
Yeah, that's,
It would put
that's
it down.
outside the purview of what they can allow. That would be something, yeah, if y'all would work with that, but that's not something they can include in there. Theirs is purely variance with the conditions to allow the variance, not additional exemptions from another department that's not those, if that makes sense.
It does. I don't know.
All right, I think we have our motion.
I think we do.
Do I have a second? Please call the roll.
Tom Pope,
Yes.
Mark McCurry,
Yes.
Mark Moody,
Yes.
Delane Dean,
Yes,
Chester Ayers.
Yes.
you have been approved with those conditions. Is there any new business to be discussed? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? See you on next month.